Hello, my friends, and happy spring and happy Thursday evening. Today we're going to make a bracelet with lots of movement, lots of fun, and very easy to make, very fun to make, and most certainly very fun to wear. So what we're making today is the Southwestern Cha-Cha bracelet. And yes, it kind of does make you feel like dancing. So I'm going to show you what it looks like on. And so it's very easy not only to create, but when you put it on, it's being held by, it looks like a little bead because it's actually a little bead. It's not exactly a clasp, it's a smart bead, and I know that a lot of you are familiar with smart beads, and it is just this easy. We're simply going to push our little bead like this to tighten the bracelet, and it holds really nicely. Maybe I tightened it just a little bit too much. So this is what a smart bead looks like. It has a little silicone inside, and it holds our leather really well. So I have really been liking these lately. I've been putting it in a lot of my designs, bracelets, anklets, and it is just, I know I keep saying it's really easy, and that's because it is really easy. So I call this Southwest Cha-Cha. Because, you know, it just reminds me of like, just dancing, you know, it just makes you feel like dancing. Doesn't it make you feel like you just want to do the cha-cha, or maybe you want to do, I don't know, the rumba, or the merengue, or the bachata. I don't know, you tell me more dances that you feel like doing when you wear this bracelet.
Karen says, good evening, everyone.
Hi, Karen. Good evening.
Fonda says, good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Hi, Fonda, and happy Thursday.
Ellen says, hi, Irina and everyone.
Hi, Ellen.
Pammy J says, hello, all.
Hello, Pammy J. How's the weather in Florida?
Jane says, hi, everyone. This looks like fun, Irina.
Hi, Jane. Thank you so much. Does it make you feel like dancing?
Kathy K says, hi, everyone.
Hi, Kathy K.
And Kim C says, hi, Irina, Tony, Lauren, and all.
Hi, Kim.
And Maria says, hi, Irina, Tony, and all.
Hi, Maria.
Barb says, good evening, everyone. Love the ideas for using smart beads.
Oh, yay. Thanks so much, Barb.
Allie says, hi, such a cute bracelet.
Thank you so much, Allie. And hello.
Sabrina says, hello to all.
Hi, Sabrina.
And Robin Lisa says, good evening.
And hello, Robin Lisa.
And Yolanda says, hello, Irina, Tony, and all.
Hi, Yolanda. Well, I'm so glad that you guys joining me this evening. This is a fun, very simple, really fun to make, and even more fun to wear. So, we are going to get started. So here is my tray of goodies, and we are going to start with, oh, you know what? I really wish I would have grabbed my crystal drops necklace just to show you how differently I'm using this component. And if you watch the crystal drops necklace video, you remember a very similar component to this one. You can see there's a daisy with two little loops on either side. And it's a very similar component, but it is just ever so slightly larger. And not only is the component itself just a tiny bit larger, but also the center hole in the component is larger as well. And that is why we are able to, you know what, I'm going to cut my leather at a slight angle just to make it a little bit easier to string. So amazingly, Look at this. This is amazing. So amazingly, this component very easily accommodates, that center daisy, very easily accommodates our 1.5 millimeter leather. So,
Suzanne says, hi, everyone.
hi, Suzanne. I'm so glad you're joining us today. So, we are able to use this with our leather, and of course we're going to be using this very differently than what I did. I really do wish I would have grabbed the necklace, but if you're interested, you can always go back and watch the Crystal Drops necklace.
Diana says, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Diana. All right, so this is a really fun, versatile component. And in this bracelet, I used it to hold all the fun little dangles. So we're going to start making our fun little dangles. And each loop holds exactly 3 little dangles. So that's a lot of dangles to make, so we better get started.
Maria says, so pretty, Irina.
Thank you so much, Maria. Okay, guys, so in front of me, I have some cubies, which of course, I know that if you have been watching me, you're so familiar with these cubies because I adore these cubies and I use them in so many different projects. I love that they're just a little bit handmade looking because they're stamped on all 4 sides. They're super, super cute. And size-wise, they just happen to work for so many different things that I make. So I do like making everything assembly style. So this is going to be very much assembly style. And what I mean by that is you do the same step with multiple components without putting down your tool. So not switching your tool in between multiple steps saves us a lot of time. And I like doing it this way because, you know, once I have an idea, I just want to make it come to life. So this method really works for me. So I'm using my chain nose pliers to create a 90-degree angle with all of, oh, and I forgot my bail making pliers. You know what? I'm just going to use my round nose pliers. So I could use my bail making pliers or my round nose pliers for this. If you were using your bail making pliers, you would just pick one side and stick with that side. I would probably pick the larger side. But since I am using my round nose pliers, I'm just going to do my best to make the loop approximately the same size on all of my components, which is of course just a little bit more challenging, but I think we can do it. So I'm making my loop on the larger side because I wanted to be able to have movement. If you make your loop really tiny, it's going to be very stiff and it's just not going to move correctly. But we're going for that nice kinetic look where our components can easily move. So I'm using my round nose pliers to make a loop on all of my ball pins. And so if I were creating these for all 3 components, I would actually make 18 of them right now. But I think it's going to get a little, you know, a little boring if you watch me make all 18. So I'm just going to make 1, and we will all get the idea of, so of course, you know, I know that a lot of you have made so many wrapped loops, but this, I'm showing this not only because possibly new people will be joining us, and I like to show each project from start to finish, but also I just really think it's so exciting to use this way of assembly style that I do. So I wanted to share that. So I'm going to connect one component to each loop. It's easiest. So I tried it, a couple of different ways. I tried it with multiple ball pins connected to each loop and then wrapping the loops. And then it just did not work all that well for me. So I decided that the easiest way to do this is you add one component to each loop at a time. And I am making organic loops. So this is what I'm doing. I am holding on with my chain nose pliers just like this. And of course I did leave just a little bit of room between the bead and the loop so that I can wrap into that space. And then once I have filled the space, I use the remainder of the wire to go back from the bead to the loop. So I am just coiling right over my initial coil, and this is what it looks like. So let me show you.
Debbie Ann is wondering what size leather you are using.
Thank you for asking, Debbie Ann. I'm using 1.5 millimeter leather. So I'm now going to trim both ends, and using the chain nose pliers, I'm just going to pinch in that little end so it doesn't poke anybody or snag on our clothes. Okay, so 2 done, 4 to go. So again, I'm going to add one little component to each loop. And I'm just making sure that my loops are not overlapping, because if somehow you get your head pin loop into the other loop, it's going to be a little bit messy. It's just not going to have the right kind of movement because it's essentially going to be stuck. So that's the only thing I'm just kind of a little bit cognizant of as I connect my loops into the loop of the daisy component. So again, I'm just coiling both of the ball pins, and then I'm coiling right over that initial coil, and we're going to do the very same step where you trim the excess wire, and of course we are always going to tuck the ends in. So you just kind of point it toward the center of the loop. So the only thing that, I don't want to say that it gets challenging as you add those ball pins, but the only thing that's a little bit different is that when you have more than one ball pin in the loop, when you get to the step where you're trimming the excess wire, you just have to look for that loop that has not been trimmed yet. Or you can just leave them all until the very end, and then you can trim and tuck at the very end. Okay, so making an organic loop on one side and the other side. And now we're just going to trim the excess wire again. And this is pretty easy, right? So we are going to do this with all 3 of our components. just remember to tuck in. This is the part where if you're not quite sure which ones you haven't tucked in yet, well, it probably doesn't hurt if you tuck it in more than once, right? If you're just not sure. But I can really tell which ones I have not because they kind of stick out a little bit. Okay, so here we go. So I finished my component and this is what it should look like. Ta-da! So through the magic of Facebook, guess what? I have already made 2 more of these components. So we have a total of 3 daisy connectors, and they each have 6 of the QBs dangling from the loops. Okay, so that's easy enough, right? And so now we're going to move on.
Vicky likes your use of the word cognizant.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I don't even remember when I used it, but thank you. All right, guys. So
I think it was with tucking in the little ends.
oh, well, thank you. Okay, so I will cut the ends of my wire, leather rather. So this end I already cut a little bit, and you can see that it's at an angle. So it's just very easy to string through beads if we have kind of a pointy little tip on our leather ends. So that's a good thing to do. And now I'm going to start tying a knot. And if you have been watching, especially for the last couple of weeks, if you've been watching my other videos, I have been making a lot of these surgeon's knots. And so it's nothing more than a regular overhand knot like this. We have all tied a knot like this, right? Okay, let me first make sure that it's in the center or pretty close to being in the center. Okay, so I'm just centering it. And it doesn't have to be exactly in the center, but you know, somewhere around the center will do. So this just starts out as a regular knot, but if we put one of the ends through the loop one extra time, it becomes a surgeon's knot. And look what happens when we start tightening it. It looks like a figure 8. So if you get that figure 8, you know you're doing it right. And what I do is I actually just use my fingers to push the 2 sides of the figure 8 together. And it looks like this. And the reason I do it is because not only do I like the look of the knot, but also if you tie a regular knot. Here, let me just tie a regular knot just for fun, and you'll see what happens to the leather. So when you tie a regular knot or an overhand knot, what happens is it sends your leather in a slightly different direction. It makes a little bit of a zigzag. And if you don't want your leather to zigzag, you add that extra pass through the loop and you get a surgeon's knot, and look how nice and straight the leather is. So this is what I have been doing a lot lately with knotting leather, and I really like the results. Okay, so I'm going to see if I have a longer end, and yes, I do actually have a longer end. So that's not an issue because I am going to start stringing from the long side, because this way, this little centerpiece is going to end up in the center. So I hope that made sense. So I'm going to grab my round beads, which in this case are pearls. You know, I kind of mixed it up a little bit. So I grabbed some pearls, and we're going for a slightly different look. And we are just going to alternate the pearls and our little dangly cha-cha components. I don't know what else to call them, but they just make me think of doing the cha-cha.
Allie says the surgeon's knots are cute and such a game changer with different stringing and knotting materials.
Thank you so much, Allie. Yes, I'm so glad you're excited about them because I find them so exciting. It is truly a game changer as far as how nice it looks with this kind of a knot. It doesn't have that kind of a zigzagging that you get with a different type of knot. Okay, so I am stringing all of my cha-cha components onto my leather, and I'm going to finish with another pearl.
Katie S. says, hello all, happy to be joining you even though I'm very late.
Hi, Katie. Well, I'm just so glad you were joining us. Okay, so this is a very different look, isn't it, with the pearls? I love it with the pearls. So I'm going to tie another knot. And I just want to point out that I always pick out leather that complements whatever other beads that I use. Sometimes the beads may be gemstone, sometimes they may be pearls, whatever I can make work. And so I love the look of these knots because it becomes like another component. It adds a little more texture, it adds a slightly different color, and it's just a very fun thing to do, you know, to complement your beads with the beauty and the color of the leather.
Judy says, hello to all.
Hi, Judy. Thanks for joining us.
Vicky says, I like the surgeon knot. I've been avoiding using knots in between because they never looked finished.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. You know, I really like knotting. Sometimes I knot on console thread. Sometimes I use a different material, griffin cord. Sometimes I use leather. And until I experimented a little bit with this type of a knot, I really wasn't crazy about knotting leather. I've always been fond of knotting other materials, but knotting leather, this type of a knot just makes me really, really happy. And it just, it acts not only as something practical to hold our beads in place, but also it acts as a spacer. Look at this. It really adds something to the look of our bracelet. You know, that leather quote-unquote spacer is just really fun in terms of complementing the color of our gemstone. And I love that it just gives it a slightly different texture. It's a really great casual look. So you can see I'm really using my fingers to push the knots into place. And I'm also making certain that they're not too tight. I'm really trying to leave like just a tiny bit of space in between the knot and the beads for a little extra movement.
Debbie Ann is wondering, what is the secret to getting the knots close to the beads?
Debbie Ann, that's a great question. I don't know. Let's figure it out. What is the secret? I think the secret is, do you see how when I start out with the knot, I'm keeping it right next to the beads. So I would say that is the secret. So I'm not starting out over here and then trying to move it toward the bead, but rather I'm holding onto the bead. I wrap the leather around my two fingers, and all along I am just right next to this bead. So as I put the end through one more time, I'm always keeping the knot right at the bead, and I am just using, if it gets away just a little bit, I'm using my fingers to really place the knot where I want it. So I'm not sure that it's a secret. I don't think it's a secret, But that is my strategy. What do you think? I hope that helped.
Maria says, wow, looks elegant and vintage.
Oh, thank you so much, Maria. Yes, I think, I can see that with the pearls, it does look kind of vintagey, right?
Allie says just that part with the pearls and cha-cha components would be a cute necklace.
I agree. There are just so many different variations that I could see with this.
Rasha says, love it.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much.
Ellen says, I love this colorway with the pearls. What is the stone?
So the stone, oh my gosh, I should have looked. I know it's some kind of a jasper. I forget what it's called. It's some kind of a lacy jasper. There are so many jaspers, who can remember, right? But it is a natural stone. It's its natural color, which of course makes it very appealing to me. I love natural stone. But we'll be sure to put in the description what stone it is.
Rasha says, love it.
Thank you so much, Rasha. Okay, guys, so this is what it looks like.
Debbie says that does help.
Oh, yay! Thank you so much, Debbie.
Sabrina says it could possibly make a charm bracelet too.
It could, yes. There are just so many variations that I could see with this.
Ellen says, I like that.
Thank you. All right, guys. So I have these absolutely wonderful spacers. I actually don't know that I've ever shown them to you, but they're so cool. They are the tiniest beads with the large holes. So the bead itself, here, let me turn it on the side so that you can see this little teeny tiny flower or little tiny sun on the side of the bead. So these beads are about 3 millimeters in diameter. They might even be just slightly under 3 millimeters in diameter. And they have an opening large enough for my leather to go through. How exciting is that?
Vicky says, I like the barrel knot too.
Yes, the barrel knot is very fun, Vicky. I did it just a few weeks ago, and I do it slightly differently. So I don't know if you've seen my video, but check it out.
Vicky says, almost a pearl stringing technique.
Yeah, well, in a broader way, I would say, I agree with you, Vicky. In fact, it used to be traditional to always knot in between the pearls. And so in that way, yes, it could be.
Cheryl says maybe Red Creek Jasper.
It's not Red
Is it
Creek.
Sunset Jasper?
It could be. I'll show you. I actually have, oh no, I thought I had Red Creek right here. So I don't know, but we'll figure it out. So I have just strung through 5 of these little spacers. They're so super cute. And next, I'm going to tie another knot. So the very same knot, and that is going to hold our spacers in place. So here we go. This is what it looks like. And we would...
Yolanda's wondering if they're sterling.
No, Yolanda, these are not sterling, but they're very, very cute. I'm actually not using any sterling findings in this, but most of them, I think, are plated. They're sterling plated, and they're adorable.
Kelly says beautiful neutral colors.
Thank you so much.
Yolanda says cute.
Thank you. All right, guys. So, through the magic of Facebook Live, guess what? I have this other sample where I finished both sides already. So I wasn't sure how we were going to do time-wise. And I started a whole new sample. And we're just going to jump over to this one. And obviously this is a whole new colorway. And you know, we're actually doing really well in terms of time. So who knows, maybe we'll finish both. That would be a little bit exciting. So I am going to, so this is what I did. You know what, let me backtrack just a tiny bit actually. I'm going to backtrack to this side that I was working on because I didn't quite finish the other side. So once you tie the knot, I almost skipped something very, very important, and that is this ant bead. Well, it's really not that important in terms of construction, but I think look-wise it's important. It just makes me happy, you know, just aesthetically. I do think that it makes it that much more fun to have another little pearl on this side. And I'm going to tie another knot, and then we're going to jump over to our other sample. So this is the sample that, what did I call this colorway? I want to say like Mountain River, or maybe
No, you called it River Canyon.
River Canyon, yes.
That's
because,
Mountain River.
yes, so you know, I have all these evocative southwestern names, and so the very first one, this one, my only finished sample is called Mountain Lake, because you know, it's the colors of it are just they remind me of a beautiful lake in the middle of the mountains. And then I have River Canyon, which this one is not listed yet, but as soon as we list it, we will call it River Canyon. And this will be available tomorrow, as well as the new one, which I'm calling Desert Pearls. So I have this whole Southwest theme with these bracelets. So this one, obviously, the one with the pearls, is going to be Desert Pearls. And Mountain Lake is available now, and it's in the Etsy shop. Okay, guys, so you know what? I only grabbed one smart bead. So we're just going to have to pick which one do you guys want to see finished in this video. Should we finish Desert Pearls, or should we finish Mountain River?
Vicky says, aren't pearls one of your all-time favorites?
Absolutely, Vicky. I love pearls.
Makes anniversary gifts easy, huh, Tony? Indeed it does.
Yeah.
Considering Irina makes all her own jewelry.
Yeah, it's really hard to give me jewelry. It's so hard. But Tony manages to surprise me with some very, very creative gifts.
Okay, Maria says, oh, Desert Pearl. And Brenda says, I'm all about the pearl one, so pretty. Ellen says pearl, and Maria says pearl, please.
Oh, good, thank you.
Allie says Mountain River. Oh, I think it's Mountain Lake.
Mountain Lake. Yeah. I know. I got lost in my own names, but I think we have more votes for Desert Pearls, and since I am stringing it right now, we can definitely do it. And eventually, you will see this guy finished as well. I promise. I will finish all of them. And I'm tying another knot here.
Rasha is wondering, where do we get all of our beads from?
Rasha, what a great question. We have a beautiful store here in Wisconsin, and we carry so many awesome beads. So when I design, I just go out in the store, and that's where I get my beads. We also have a wonderful Etsy shop, and some of the beads are available through the Etsy shop, and sometimes I use things that are not necessarily listed in the Etsy shop. But if there's something that you see in my videos and it's not listed in the Etsy shop, you can always get in touch with Kathy, who works in mail order, and she's absolutely wonderful, and she will absolutely find anything that you have seen in my videos and you would like.
Robin Lisa says you are so talented.
You are so sweet. Thank you so much, Robin Lisa. All right, guys. So we are now going to string through our little smart bead. And these are absolutely awesome. I have been using them so much. In fact, I have, this guy will probably look very familiar. This is our anklet from last week, my little seahorse friend. And so the same idea, except there's just one difference. When I make anklets, for some reason, it just makes sense to me that the little leather ends go in the opposite directions. But when I make bracelets, I like the leather end going in the same direction because it almost kind of forms like a little tassel. So you decide. You can always do it one way or another. Either way, it works. So we're going to string one end through first. So the first end is very, very easy. The other end is we are going to have to work for it a little bit, and we're going to hold on to it with our chain nose pliers and just kind of push the whole thing through, and you can see it peeking out. And this is the point where you'll be so happy that you cut the leather at a slight angle, because that really helps push it through. So now I am going to tie a knot on each side. So at this point, you decide what length you want. So my bracelets, let's see, this one is probably about 6.5 inches when you push the bead up to the knots. So you could even tie additional knots if you want your bracelet to be a little bit larger. However, you can simply make this space, okay, so the space between the bead and the knot, you can just make that a larger space, and then it will fit a larger size. So if you're not sure what the size of the person is that you're making it for, just leave it a little bit larger. So the other thing that we have to consider is that our bracelet needs to go over your hand, right? So if your hand is maybe a little bit wider, maybe you want to leave it a little bit wider for that reason.
Vicky is wondering, have you guys ever gotten any gemstones from Dakota Stones? Jeff is very particular about his vendors too.
Yes, we're aware of Dakota Stones. In fact,
we just did their show.
And yes, they do have beautiful gemstones, but so do we. And we do have different sources than Dakota Stones. We have so many different suppliers from around the world, and we have a very different selection from Dakota Stones. So I'm sure their quality is wonderful, as is ours. So, there's so many different suppliers around the world, and we try to find some very unique things.
Suzanne says pretty bracelet.
Thank you so much, Suzanne.
Ellen is wondering, is the colorway available in the Etsy shop? Is the pearl colorway?
The pearl colorway will be available in the Etsy shop.
I'm going to try and work on it tonight.
Oh, tonight. So, yes, because it usually takes me a little bit to set up for the video in the morning. So while I'm doing that, Tony can list it tonight. So it will be available sometime tonight, say within the next hour or so. Okay, so I just tied a couple of knots. And you probably have already guessed what I'm going to do next. And that is add my final beads to the bracelet. And here we go.
Ellie says, agreed, those have lovely, oh, she was a reply to someone else's comment. They are very nice, the large hole beads that you have.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Valerie says, you have such wonderful ideas and techniques.
Thank you so much, Valerie.
Fonda says, would it be easier to push the leather through the holes using the yellow tapered pliers?
It may. You know what? That's a really wonderful idea. I think I have a pair of yellow tapered pliers right here. So let me show you what they look like. I just have to reach for those.
Kim C is wondering, could the gemstone with the pearls be crazy lace agate?
You know what? I think it may be. I think it may be crazy lace agate. I was thinking something lacy, and I think you read my mind pretty nicely.
Karen says, I'm loving the pearl colorway.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much, Karen.
And Ellen says, thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. All right, guys. So we're just going to cut the ends off. And ta-da! We have just made another bracelet. So let's try it on.
Dana is wondering if you can show the bracelet on your wrist.
Oh, absolutely, Dana. I would love to. Okay, so I'm just going to tighten this, and this is what my new bracelet looks like. This is the one with the pearls and
Desert pearl.
Desert pearl. Thank you, Tony.
Sabrina says, I love them both.
Thank you so much.
And Debbie Ann is wondering, how long is the leather cord when you started?
Oh, good question. I started with a yard. So I started with a yard of the leather cord, and this is what I just snipped off. And for a larger size, you will most likely just use the entire thing. I can't imagine that anybody will need more than a yard, because if you think about it, if I had left this on, this would potentially add like, what, 6 inches? And nobody really needs, you know, I don't know, a 12-inch bracelet, right? Unless, of course, you want to make it into an anklet, and that's a thought.
Judith says, very pretty design. I love the pearl combo.
Oh, thank you so much. So this is what it looks like.
Fonda says, all 3 colorways are so pretty. I can't pick a favorite.
Yeah. Well, here, I can't exactly put it on, but I will still model it.
And Yolanda says, very cute.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. So here they all are, side by side. They're all a bit earthy in their own ways, you know, even though we have a little bit of a shimmer from the pearls, but it's still kind of an earthy colorway. And you know, when I think of the Southwest, these are the colors I think of.
Barb says, love all the colorways.
Thank you so much, Barb. So this is the bracelet that I had on. It's a bracelet that I did a little bit earlier in the year. So when did we make this one?
I just know, I think it's called Southwest Serenade.
Yeah, Southwest Serenade. So this is Southwest Serenade. I have it in 2 different colorways. They're actually pretty similar. It's mostly the button that makes the 2 colorways different. So we have one with the purple button, and we have one with the red button, kind of a red-orangey button, and they're inlaid. So it's a really lovely spiny oyster button with a little bit of a turquoise inlay. And you will, most likely, we still have them listed in the Etsy shop, right? So you will find them in the Etsy shop under Southwest Serenade.
In eggplant and salsa.
Oh, there we go, eggplant and salsa.
Vicky says this would be awesome with bumblebee jasper or mookaite too.
Absolutely, I love both. Bumblebee jasper is beautiful. Unfortunately, you cannot find bumblebee jasper with a large hole. That is very challenging. In fact, we've had a difficult time getting bumblebee jasper in. Every once in a while we have some, so when we do, everybody just grabs it right away. And mookaite is really fun as well.
Pammy J says 3 beautiful bracelets. Love all the color choices.
Oh, thank you so much, Pammy J. So I will I will show you. So this one, of course, I will finish later tonight. I mean, literally, all I have to do is just the little smart bead, but I didn't grab another one, so I'll do it off camera. But in the meantime, these are the 3 color choices.
Yolanda says you could make them kind of masculine as well.
You absolutely could. Absolutely.
Catherine says, hello, beautiful lady and everyone.
Hello, Catherine. I'm so glad to hear from you. All right, guys, so a quick little preview of the upcoming events. So we have fun, summer fun, yes. So you remember summer fun necklace. So this is what it looks like. And yes, I did something very, very similar, maybe a year ago or something close to it. And guess what? It's almost summer again. So I thought, you know what? This is one of my most popular projects. So I'm going to do a little redesign and make it even more fun. So it's summer fun, and now it is 2 in 1. So check this out. I have one part, and I have the necklace. So we have the tassel and the necklace, and these can be worn together or they can be worn separately. So if I want to wear it separately, it's just like this. Here is the necklace, and this is how I designed the first version of it. But now we also have a fun little tassel, which if we're not wearing it with the necklace, you can put it on a zipper pull, you can clip it to your purse, you can just play with it, but even more fun, we can clip it to our necklace, and depending on the outfit, we can wear it together.
Maria says, ooh.
Ooh, I like that.
Allie says, oh, so cool. Add the new pendant to last summer's necklace. Very fun.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yolanda says pretty and colorful.
Thank you.
And Shirley is wondering, what size is the bead to tighten it on your wrist, please? The smart bead.
Oh, the smart bead? I want to
It's like
say
a
it's
7-8 millimeters.
Yeah,
something
7-8 millimeters. We do have it in different diameters, but what's even more important is the diameter of the hole inside the bead.
Catherine says, I love that necklace, and I love all the colors.
Oh, yay! Thank you so much, Catherine. All right, guys. So I have 2 more things to show you. Next, let's see which one. I think this is next Thursday. So this is our necklace for next Thursday. I'm not showing you the ends because it's not entirely finished yet. But this is, what did I call this one? Not world beat, although it looks like world beat. It also looks like just like a wear with anything kind of necklace. And I'm totally drawing a blank on, it's like they're all my babies. I name them, and then sometimes I promptly forget. So, so this is what we're doing next Thursday. And it is already listed.
Free Spirit.
Thank you. Yes, yes. World Beat, Free Spirit, it's all kind of in that same realm of just fun, casual type of necklaces. So this is a fun piece to wear by itself, or you can layer it with other pieces. I would wear it shorter rather than longer. And so this is what we're making next Thursday.
Mary Elizabeth says, I love that piece with the faceted ceramic beads. I made the bracelet, jumping for joy.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Karen is wondering, are you going to have a tassel kit for those of us who have last year's necklace?
Karen, that's a fantastic idea. I was actually thinking about that, and I was like, I don't know, is that a good idea? But yes, clearly, if you want it, it is a good idea. Right? So does anybody else want it? Did anybody else make this necklace? Just tell me, who wants a separate tassel? I think it's a good idea.
Allie says perfect for a little black dress.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm glad you feel that way because I feel that way as well.
Shirley says this is first time on. Thank you for your lovely designs.
Oh, thank you so much, Shirley, and welcome to our group. I'm so glad you joined us today. So just a little bit about what I do since this is your first time ever. I do this every Thursday and Friday morning. So I hope you join us again. So,
Suzanne says very pretty necklace and sends a heart.
yay, thank you, Suzanne.
Allie says yes to the tassel kit.
Cool.
And Maria says yes, tassel please.
Yay.
Ellen says thank you, beautiful pieces.
Cool. Well, I'm so glad you guys like them. Okay, so this is what we'll do. We will just create little kind of a kitlet, well, or a kit, whatever we want to call it, with just the tassel, because I know that we sold like a schmillion of this kit, so anybody who has it from last year, you'll be able to add it to your necklace. So just give us a day or two to come up with a kit. Okay, so, the other thing that's going to be a little bit challenging is, I guess, the colors to put into the tassel. But you know what? I'm just going to make it work, and it's going to be beautiful.
Mary Elizabeth says I would love to purchase the tassel. Thank you.
Cool, yes. So just watch the Etsy shop tomorrow, and no, not tomorrow. Tony, okay, so you know what? I'm always really optimistic.
Yeah,
and
everything takes 5 minutes.
in my world, everything takes 5 minutes. So we'll try to do it tomorrow. But if it doesn't happen, we will most definitely do it next week. Okay, guys, and last but not least, you like my Shakeray necklace, and this is what it looks like. So it is, remember, it's the one that is based on the instrument with the same name, and it's like a little netted bag for your gemstone, and we're going to make it so that it is interchangeable. I didn't grab the other gemstones just yet, but you can see how it can be interchangeable. And even though it is not made with leather, but it does have something in common with today's project, and that is the smart beads. So you can see that what holds our strands of Ceylon in place is, again, that smart bead. And I love using them. They're just so very, very practical, and they look nice as well.
Jane says I was so excited to see that scheduled.
Oh, yay! Thank you so much. Yes, so this just kind of came about in a very organic way. I happened to be wearing this one, and somebody asked me to show it, and then a bunch of people said, let's do it. So, of course, we're doing it because I love it. When you suggest, I love when you tell me what you want to make. So if you have other thoughts about what you would like to create, please let me know.
Fonda says, oh, I can't wait for that demo. And Kim C says, so many wonderful designs. Thank you, Irina. Looking forward to learning about them.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. And I'm looking forward to showing it. Yeah, this is one that I really love to wear, and it's just as fun to make as it is to wear. So we're doing this next week. Okay, guys, well, I believe I have just shown you everything that's in front of me on my desk. So just as a little reminder, I'm going to put all my little treasures right here. And you know, if you have any thoughts about future projects, you let me know. You know where to find me. Okay, guys. So in the meantime, I hope you join me tomorrow morning for summer fun, 2-in-1, because now we have a tassel, and we'll start working on creating that tassel kit. So have a wonderful and creative evening, and thanks so much for joining me today.